They all quit on me. I'm just kidding. That's not really what happened. This isn't really the podcast, but I decided to. One second. I decided to go live because I want to actually discuss about my plans for the podcast in the future. One second, guys. I gotta check up on something here. Um, I'm just making sure I'm live here. Now, with that said, I want to first discuss my main plan for why I started this podcast to begin with. As you notice, my heart to heart videos have somewhat changed over time. They started out small, talking about life experiences and all that. And yes, I still plan on touching on subjects like that. But the thing is I also started touching on other subjects that kind of borderline on the political scale here because I started talking about how we gotta have thicker skin. We gotta stop being so easily offended, and I agree. I stand by that. I truly do. Now, with that said, hold on a second. While I'm talking, I'm going to pop up Discord and hop into the game chat. So if any of you want to jump in and start chatting with me, you're free to. And if you don't want to, well, you don't have to. I'm just simply opening up the option here. So if it seems like I'm scattered brained at the moment, I kind of am until. Okay, right here. There we go. Now, with that said, I start to see things declining, and I mean that seriously, to the point where we're on social media and everything. We're not allowed to say certain things anymore. We don't want to offend people, and I'm irritated about this. I really am. I feel like we cannot speak our mind openly anymore like we used to be able to, and that's ridiculous. So, with that said, I honestly see the podcast as the last place, the final, well, maybe not the final place, but one of the last places left where we can speak openly. And what I mean by that is social media tries to penalize you, restrict you from saying whatever it is you want. You got to say stuff that fits their narrative, otherwise, you will either get demonetized and everything. And before anyone says anything, yes, I get that I'm not popular enough to be monetized yet. But it's gotten to the point where even when I am, even if I ever become popular enough to be monetized, it's good. I'm gonna be demonetized because I'm offensive. I speak my mind, and I am unfiltered. That's actually why I added the Venmo account to my YouTube channel, because that way, if anyone or if anyone does feel like they are able to donate and want to, well, hey, I'm not being restricted. I'm not being penalized. YouTube can penalize me all at once, but I'm still going to speak my mind. You see, by doing that, I just gave myself and my co-host, all of them, the freedom to speak the words that they all, including me, believe to be the truth. Because I don't know about all of you, but I am truly sick of this censorship here. I'm truly sick of this PC bullcrap. If I'm angry about it, then so should all of you, because I'd like to believe that I am a patient person when it comes to this sort of thing. I really am. I'm sorry, and this may sound like a contradiction. I don't see it but as a contradiction, but some of you may see it as one. But I do care about all of you. I do. Having that said, if I end up offending you when I speak what I believe to be the truth, I don't care. You see, that's the thing. A lot of people, there are some people out there that interpret what I'm doing as rocking the boat. That's not my main point. That's not my main purpose here. That's not the purpose of the podcast. It is for me to talk about what I truly believe to be the truth. And if it ends up offending people indirectly or as a result, that's an unavoidable byproduct right there. And if you are offended over stuff like this, I don't care. I care about you, but I don't care if the truth that I'm talking about offends you. What am I? If that's the thing, people say, "Well, you gotta be careful what you say." Well, yeah. Well, if that's really the case, I might as well not have a podcast to begin with, because the whole point of the podcast is to speak openly. To proclaim the truth. And if any of you disagree with me, hey, you're free to disagree with me. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to take offense to it. I'd be a hypocrite to take offense to it. But I'm not taking offense to it. That's my point. Okay, so that's the main purpose of the podcast to begin with. Having that said, we had kind of a rough start on the first episode. I will admit to that. We've been getting better. There are some more rules I'm going to have to lay down on. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that in the sense that I'm going to control what the other co-hosts say. No, I want them to speak openly. I want us to keep things appropriate, because I want my channel to be for all ages. So in that sense, I would like for us to be a little more careful. But that aside, I don't want the co-host to worry about offending people. I know there's some of them lean more toward my way and others lean toward the other. And I'm okay with that. In fact, I'm actually glad I got co-hosts with different beliefs and different ways to go about things. However, there is a rule that I laid down, and I do plan on kind of putting my foot down more on that rule so that there's more time for everybody. But that we allow people to speak without cutting them off or anything. I know that that's usually done to either make sure we don't cross any lines, but at this point, I really don't care if I cross any lines at all, as long as I'm not being inappropriate. First of all, if I'm not going out of my way to insult any of you, to belittle any of you, then you have no reason to be offended. However, if you're offended over the fact that I disagree with you, and I'm talking about things that go against what you believe, whether it be political or religious, I'm sorry, I don't care. If you feel I'm wrong and you want to tell me, you can go to my Discord server and speak to me during the live stream. You can say, Statton, I disagree with you and I'm offended. And I'll be like, okay, fair enough. What is it that I said that was wrong? And explain to me why. Like I said, the only thing I request of you is that if you try quoting me, do not twist my words. And if you believe I'm wrong, present the facts. I'm not going to listen, or I will listen, but I'm not going to say, well, okay, you say your feelings are hurt over the matter, or the truth doesn't make you feel good. Well, there's an old saying, the truth hurts sometimes. I notice that saying isn't quoted half as much as it used to be, but it's still just as true today as it was then. The truth hurts sometimes. So, no. Saying I don't like the truth or I just don't, I like this way better. Yeah, that's not going to fly with me. I'm not going to be like, "Well, you got a point there. If it doesn't make you feel good, then how can it be the truth?" Or it offends me. That's not a winning argument either. I'm sorry. I don't present me to me the facts. That's what I want. The facts. If you have any facts that prove me wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong. But none of this, well, I'm offended. Well, guess what? If you're offended over something this small, you need to toughen up and get thicker skin because you're not going to make it out there in the real world. There are people far worse than me, trust me. And it's not like you have to sit back and hear what I'm talking about. No, sir. But anyways, at this point I'm just rambling. I've made my point. I think I've kind of drilled it into the ground. But now for the other part. We've got our subjects planned for the future. For the rest of the year, I mean. But when next year comes, we're not going to be able to plan far ahead. In fact, while planning ahead does make things easier in one sense, I do think it may hinder the podcast in another sense. Like there may be subjects that are pressing on my mind, and it may not fit with the schedule. And if that happens, and we write it down for a later date, and that later time comes, and there's a different subject pressing on my mind, what then? I feel that we need to find a happy medium between planning ahead and flying by the seat of our pants. A happy medium between those two things. And yes, we're going to talk about some lighthearted, fun subjects, but also we're going to talk about some hard, difficult subjects that people don't want to talk about. Not unless you're willing to accept the backlash. And that's another thing. I do expect to get a lot of backlash in the negative sense from a lot of people that come across these podcasts and don't agree. And if so, so be it. I won't be offended. After all, I'd be a hypocrite if I was offended. But we got people that would like to be guests on the podcast. One of the co-hosts has an idea for a subject for next year. But the thing is since we only do the podcast for an hour, we need to find a way to balance it so not only me, but each co-host apart from me gets an equal chance to speak and to explain their thoughts on different subjects. And what more is to be able to do that and have time for you viewers, if you want to step in one person at a time, kind of like how a radio talk show accepts phone calls from people that listen and voice their thoughts and opinions on the matter. I would like there to be time for that too. I just feel like the podcast is really one of the last places where we can have the absolute freedom to speak on whatever the heck we want. And no one can tell us not to. We can voice our opinion on something. We can voice what we believe to be the truth. And no one can tell us no. They could say, we disagree with you. Okay, fine. But unless you have the facts proving we're wrong, we're still going to come out of it believing the way we believe things. And it's not that we're trying to offend you. But we're not going to worry if we offend you either. At least I'm not. I can't really speak for the other co-host. And I'm pretty sure if they were with me right now, they'd be like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa, stat, calm down. It's like, but that's another thing. I don't want to be stopped in mid-sentence anymore. I get their point. I get what what they're planning to do, or why they're doing it. They want there to be balance, and I agree. I do think there should be balance. But at the same time, all of us co hosts should have a fair chance to speak openly and fully. And I say fully as in without being cut off. I don't mind people disagreeing with me, just as long as they let me speak, they quote me correctly, and they present the facts proving that I'm wrong. Otherwise, if what I believe to be the truth is rocking the boat, well, like I said, unavoidable byproduct. I forget. I think. Let me look up the name really quick. There's a lady here. Now this was a. Okay, here it is. This is an old video, so I'm sure most of you have seen it at one point. But there's a lady named Candace Owens. Now she went to speak at a college or something, and this one lady asked her a question. She's like, "How do you feel about those who feel victimized just because you're here in the same building as them?" Okay, now that's one of the dumbest questions I've ever heard. So I can understand you not liking someone, not agreeing with them, but to go so far as to say, well, because they have different beliefs from me, I feel like a victim because they're in the same building as me. Have we really become that soft, that weak, that sensitive? But I love her response, and I believe it's 100% true. She just responded by saying, "Life's tough, get a helmet." And you know what? If you're I stand by her on her saying that. Life's tough, get a helmet. Toughen up. You're looking for universal agreement, it ain't gonna happen. You're gonna find people that disagree with you. This has to stop. And while I may be angry, I do enjoy the heart-to-heart videos. In fact, in a weird way, I'm enjoying this too because I'm speaking my mind unfiltered, not sugarcoating it, not walking on eggshells. There's no point in walking on eggshells because those people would be offended anyways. But just so you know, if you do give the podcast a try, bear in mind, we speak openly. We're going to be unfiltered. We're going to speak what we believe to be the truth. You may be offended, and if so, I personally don't care. I'm not going to stop speaking what I believe to be the truth just because it hurts your feelings. I love all of you, but I don't care if I offend you at the same time. I'm not going to go out of my way to offend you intentionally, but if it does end up offending you, yeah, you're going to have to talk to someone who cares on the matter, because if you want to say you disagree with me, fine, but present the facts. That's why all my heart-to-heart videos, or at least most of them, begin with, "Welcome to the Heart-to-Heart with Statton, where feelings matter, but the facts come first." I'm actually really excited about this podcast. I really am. I can't wait till next year when we start planning the other subjects. Yes, we do it bi-weekly, every other Sunday. We did it last Sunday, so it won't be this Sunday. But that also means we do it twice a month. So there's going to be 2 podcasts in November and 2 in December. I'm very excited about this, and then we're going to have a good friend of mine guest in January at some point, assuming nothing goes wrong and things go according to plan. With that said, I believe I covered over just about everything. I would like to let me check and see really quick if anyone's been watching. It says okay, we got one person watching the podcast right now. So there's really nothing much more for me to cover over. If you see this later on, as YouTube will take live streams and make them into videos, I hope you don't think I'm this cranky all the time. I'm not. This has been on my mind to the point where I had to get it out. And it's very therapeutic. I find the heart-to-heart videos to be very therapeutic. And I find Fishing Planet to be very therapeutic. And here I am doing both at the same exact time. This is a good night for me. Because I honestly feel better now that I got it off my chest. And if you have any subjects in mind also, any important news you think we should cover over, well, in the description of all my videos, not only do I have the link to my server, but I also, I believe, have my email address, so you have a way of contacting me. Also, as I mentioned, I also have a link to my Venmo account for optional donations. Donations are not required, but they are appreciated. With that said, my name is Statton. Like, share, and subscribe. And remember that you are not alone. And you all have yourselves a wonderful day.